And take me he did, and we were yoked together, husband and wife, on October 25th, 1764. 9 months later, our daughter, Abigail Jr., we called her Nabby, as I was called. Nabby was born, the dear image of her still dearer papa. After Nabby, John Quincy, a genius. Of course, Mr. Adams will tell you all of our children are geniuses.
They are.
And they are. After John Quincy, a little girl, Susanna, named after Mr. Adams' dear mother. We had Susanna a little over a year. Mr. Adams cannot speak of it yet. But the year we lost Susanna, that was in 70, our little Charlie was born. Charlie was a charmer. He was a favorite wherever he went. Sadly, he died last year. No man's enemy but his own. After Charlie, our little Tommy is now 28 years old, if you can believe that, sir, and an attorney in Philadelphia. His first case was defending a bordello. He is also a charmer and is very popular in houses that have young ladies in them. But Mr. Adams and I still longed for another little daughter, and I did become pregnant. She would have been named Elizabeth after my mother, but she was stillborn, eyes closed as if in sleep. And our dreams went with her to the grave.
In the year 1774, the events of politics had taken numerous difficult turns, and it was determined that a grand congress would be called in the city of Philadelphia, and that each of the provinces and colonies would send representatives. And I was appointed one of the representatives to attend from the province of Massachusetts. I thought that it would be a great nursery for American statesmen, but I found after I had arrived that it was nothing but a room full of orators. It was often said that a resolution would be put forward that 3 and 2 equals 5. And then debate would be held for 3 or 4 days altogether, where we would hear masterful orations on mathematics and natural sciences and ancient history and literature, after which we would find the resolution favorable. It was exceeding difficult being away from my family. My dear, life grows more and more disagreeable to me. I want to see my wife and children every day. I want to see my grass and blossoms and corn, etc. every day. I want to see my workmen. Nay, I almost want to go and see the bossy's calf almost as much as Charles does. But above all, except the wife and children, I want to see my books.
The great distance between us makes the time appear very long to me. The great anxiety I feel for our country, for you and for our families, renders the day tedious and the nights unpleasant. I have just returned from a visit to my brother in Boston. It is a great pain to see this much injured town. Next Tuesday at Braintree, all above age 15 and under 60 are warned to attend with their arms and to train once a fortnight from that time. I long for the day of your return, yet I look upon you much safer in Philadelphia. Yours most sincerely, Abigail Adams.
I did, by the hand of Providence, return from Philadelphia to our farm in Braintree. Voices. The instrument in our hands had turned from the pen to the sword. Several weeks later, I again was called upon to return to Philadelphia and the Grand Congress, leaving my family in the greatest state of war. My dear, sitting down to write you calls up to my view the anxious, distressed state you must be in amidst the confusions and dangers which surround you. I long to return and administer all the consolation in my power, but when I have accomplished all the business I have to do here, I know not. And if it should be necessary for me to stay here till Christmas or longer in order to effect our purposes, I am determined patiently to wait. In case of danger, fly to the woods with our children. Give my tenderest love to them and to all. Yours most affectionately, John Adams.
My much-loved friend, I greatly fear that the arm of treachery and violence is lifted over us as a scourge and heavy punishment from heaven for our numerous offenses. We now expect our seacoast ravaged. Perhaps the very next letter I send you will inform you that I am driven away from our yet quiet cottage. I would not have you be distressed about me. Danger, they say, makes people valiant. Hitherto, I have been distressed, but not dismayed. Good night. With thoughts of thee do I close my eyes. Angels guard and protect thee, and may a safe return ere long bless thy Portia.
You will take note that after our wedding, the more flippant name of Diana has been replaced with the more solid name of that great Roman citizen and the wife of the great Roman citizen, that of Portia.
I have received a good deal of paper from you. I wish it had been more covered. The writing is very scant, but I must not grumble. I know that your time is not your own, nor is it mine. I had the pleasure of seeing General Washington and General Lee soon after their arrival and being personally made known to them. I was struck with General Washington. You had prepared me to entertain a favorable opinion of him, but you told me only half the tale. Dignity with ease and complacence, the gentleman and the soldier agreeably blended in him. Modesty marks every line and feature of his face. General Lee looks like a careless, hearty veteran. The elegance of his pen far exceeds that of his person. Our men, under Captain Tupper, made a little expedition this week to Long Island, all within our washing, and brought off 70-odd sheep, 15 head of cattle, and 16 prisoners. The regulars were all asleep in the house and barn when they were taken. There were 3 women with them. Our heroes came off in triumph, not being observed by their enemies. This spirited up others who could not endure the thought that the house and barn should afford the enemy any shelter. These men obtained leave to destroy the hay together with the house and the barn. A number of armed cutters immediately surrounded the island, and our men came off with a hot and continued fire upon them, the bullets flying in every direction. Many in this town who were spectators expected that any moment our men would all be sacrificed. Yet they all returned in safety. That evening, a man of war anchored near Great Hill. It occasioned an alarm in this town, and we were up all night. They remain there yet, but have not yet ventured to land any men. You would smile to see our little ones all gather around Mama upon reception of a letter from Papa, and Charles, with open mouth, says, "What does Par say? Did he not write no more?" And little Tom says, "I wish I could see Par." Upon Mr. Rice's going into the army, he asked little Charles if he should get him a place in the army too. Charles was 7 at the time. Charles catched at it with great eagerness and insisted upon going. We could not put him off. He cried and begged until I told him that he must first obtain your permission to go. And now he insists that I must write to you about it and ask your consent. At last I have promised to write you and am obliged to be as good as my word.
Our little general. My dear, it is almost 3 months since I left you, in every part of which my anxiety about you and the children, as well as our country, has been extreme. The business I have had upon my mind has been as great and important as can be entrusted to one man, and the difficulty and intricacy of it is prodigious. When 50 or 60 men have a government to form for a great empire, at the same time that they have a country of 1,500 miles extent to fortify, millions to arm and train, a naval power to begin, an extensive commerce to regulate, numerous tribes of Indians to negotiate with, a standing army of 27,000 men to raise, pay, victual, and officer, I really shall pity those 50 or 60 men.
How can I tell you, oh my bursting heart, that my dear mother has left me? This day, about 5 o'clock, she left this world for an infinitely better. After sustaining 16 days' severe conflict, she fell asleep. Blessed Spirit, where art thou? At times I am almost ready to faint under this severe and heavy stroke, separated from thee, who used to be a comforter towards me in my affliction. But blessed be God, he has bid us call upon him in times of trouble. I know you are a sincere and hearty mourner with me, and will pray for me in my affliction. My poor father, like a firm believer and a good Christian, he sets before his children the best of examples of patience and submission. My sisters send their love to you. They too are greatly afflicted. You often expressed your anxiety for me when you left me before, surrounded with terrors, but my trouble then was in small dust in the balance compared to what I have since endured. You will pardon and forgive all my wanderings of mind. I cannot be correct. Almighty God, restrain the pestilence which walks in darkness and wastes at noonday, and which has laid in the dust the dearest of parents. May the life of the other be lengthened out to his afflicted children, and your distressed portion.